Listen to you. Wait, let me guess. You got to go put your mug on?
No, no. We don't have to do all that. I just got to realize, oh, I should probably put my phone on mute so it doesn't make all those sounds like it just did when you went live.
Listen to you. You're like, oops.
Oopsie, poopsie. I'm sorry, I was talking about a guy's tattoo near his dick, so I was distracted. Silly me. Silly me.
I'm so sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Uh,
Running tardy to the party, so let's
get it going.
this
Yeah.
off, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
COL Drag Race.
For those of you that don't know, the trivia for this episode is that the third episode was leaked early by days, as in almost a whole week, by WoW Presents Plus. Let's talk about that some more, shall we? So, for those of you that don't know, it is December 30th, 2018. It's a Sunday. It's evening time, which means it's time for Cubs Out Loud Drag Race T-Time, where we spill the tea and talk about the latest Drag Race season episode that has aired. For those of you that may not be aware, and even if you are, hey, my name's Gary. I'm one of the co-hosts. And with me is my ever-fabulous star over here.
Hello, everyone. It's Damon. Welcome.
Oh, we got to talk about the Snatch Game of Love, episode number 3.
I know, right? In the classic tradition of RuPaul's Drag Race, it's another Snatch Game episode with a little twist.
Yeah, we'll probably get into that later more.
Yeah.
But we got something first we got to talk about, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so for those of you that maybe missed last week's episode 2, Supergirl Group's Hanny, we introduced a brief new segment, which is now carrying over. It's called Gia Gun Gaggery Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah.
We have to.
All right.
Good God.
Yeah, David, you're letting me start this one.
I am letting you go. You go for it.
I said True Color Shining.
True colors, bitch.
Listen to you.
Excuse me.
I definitely think that, nothing changed, in that the first half of the episode or whatever really kind of came across as, girl, this is who you is, and I have no time for it. And I am right there with Trinity where she's like, no, she got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Ain't no more time.
Yes.
Bye, girl.
So yes, agree. Like totally, like the first part of the episode, it was very much this whole like, what the fuck, yeah, like like why are you so annoying? Everyone was saying it, and I mean not everyone. Let me rephrase. Like everyone's kind of like, oh, and it's kind of like, I think I like the fact that at least people were kind of like, oh, well, she's more like an obvious target now. So it's now becoming this whole like potential game strategery kind of thing where a la Roxy Andrews from All Stars 2, where she was kept because she sucked. And it was easy to knock other girls out of the competition because why not?
Okay, but yeah, I mean, it is. What's there to do about a villain? Let me, kind of put it that way.
True.
Yeah, I just no, girl, I was not having it. It was just.
It was just something. It's just something about like. I know we're going to talk about it a lot more, but I'm really very much kind of confused.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she Gia has been on the show before, and I get it that Gia was on the show before when she wasn't her true authentic self, which is something that she kept saying throughout this episode. I get that. And now that she is her authentic self, one of the things that was mentioned during later on in the episode was that she was trying to that she went back to um, cattiness and bitchiness as a defense mechanism because that's what she knew when she was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, girl, you're supposed to be a different person now. Like, like, like this is supposed to be different. You're supposed to have evolved. You're supposed to have changed potentially in some way, shape, or form. And no offense, I don't see a change. Like,
Well,
I mean, I'm seeing little bits and pieces of change, but I'm not seeing like this monumental change about you being your authentic self and all of those other things. So if you're being your true authentic self now,
right, and I it's difficult because, and this is not me making an excuse for Gia. I believe this whole season was filmed a half a year ago, basically.
mm-hmm.
So time has passed since the air or since the taping.
Mm-hmm.
And she did release for late Friday night on her YouTube channel a surprisingly brief video. It was about less than 7 minutes. I watched it. It wasn't conciliatory, but it was interesting. She wasn't as defensive. So she said some really accurate things, and if you remind me, I'll get to that when we get to the end of the episode between you and I here. But yeah, like it was one of these things where I was just like, I'm not here for this. Like it's like, while some people may live for the drama and that's why they want to watch the show, I'm like, I am more about the artistry than the shenanigans. Like, you know, the poking at things and, you know, and making fun of stuff. Yes.
Okay, girl. If that's what you want to say, if that's what you want to believe that you were doing. Okay.
Wait, are you talking to me, or are you talking
Gia.
about?
I'm talking about Gia.
No. I'm saying I personally am not here for the drama.
Oh.
I'm here for the artistry.
Oh.
I was like, why are you like cocking your head up? Like, why are you like?
I thought you were saying that Gia mentioned something like that on her video, and I was like,
no. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying for me personally, I get that some people tune in to watch the drama on the show, and it drives numbers, and it's, you know, a reality contest, yada. But I'm here to watch the artistry, which will probably consistently carry through in the rest of my comments for this show. Because you and I may not be on the same page on some things, I think, and that's okay.
all right.
So yeah, we
I don't necessarily feel bad for Gia. I think that she came on the show potentially with the purpose, with the mission, with something. And unfortunately, whether it's the stress of the show or the fact that you're on TV or that you fall into these old, you know, bad habits or whatever it is, so be it. I feel that you fucked up. Like, to put it bluntly, you did not give the arc that I think you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's your fault or the producer's fault or editing part or whatever, I think it could potentially be a combination of all of that. Whatever it is, that's not what we got. What we ended up getting was a person who wished to show herself and showed herself to be a bitch.
Right.
And whether that's manufactured, I doubt it, but it comes across.
I think it was intended. I think it was intended, and part of her, I don't really want to call it a step down. I don't really want to call it. Part of her response video, I think, gave, like, kind of sealed that.
Got it.
But enough about Gia. Let's move on to talking about really the main point of this episode, shall we?
Sure.
Okay, then.
From the whoopee capital of the world, it's the Snatch Game of Love. And here's the Snatch Maker himself, RuPaul.
Welcome to the Snatch Game of Love. Let's meet our first...
So we had apparently somewhere decided that the traditional Snatch Game has, like, needed an update.
Yep.
So now it's called the Snatch Game of Love. So they took the match game and I'm totally blanking, and I should have done the research on this beforehand.
It's not really a game. Oh gosh, what is it?
It's a
Love Connection.
Love Connection, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And they they smashed the two of them together. So now we have this hybrid mix where the 8 drag queen contestants that are remaining, right, get to be alternate celebrity personalities in 2 different groups, 4 and 4. So instead of like top row, bottom row of seats, now they're completely separate groups, and they're actually answering questions from the celebrity judges, and they're trying to make a match so they can go on a date, apparently. Yeah, so I have mixed feelings about this. The game functionally hasn't changed that much. Like, as a contestant in the reality show, your job is still to personify the celebrity, to be as funny as you can be authentically in the moment while channeling said personality. And the fact that you're split into 2 groups gives you more airtime gives you more airtime to win or to fail. So,
shall we?
Yeah. So there's that thing. So here's group 1 for the Snatch Game, which happens to be celebrities Whitney Houston, Wendy Williams, Caitlyn Jenner, and Eartha Kitt, which is quite an eclectic group in my opinion. And then our second group happens to be Tiffany Haddish, Barbra Streisand, Jenny Bowie. I believe is, what is it?
I think it's Y.
Boy, okay. I don't know who this person is. And Della Reese. So those happen to be our individuals in this case. Monet is being Whitney Houston, Naomi is being Wendy Williams, Trinity is being Caitlyn Jenner, and Valentina is being Eartha Kitt in the first group. So, yeah. Here's the thing. Some of them, I think, pulled off looks really well. Some of them, I think, pulled off the aesthetic of the personality really well. And others kind of didn't get certain things at all right, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's a thing. Damon, what were your thoughts on the Snatch Game Challenge?
Okay, so I have two very important thoughts on this thing. And my first one is GYST, get your shit together. Okay? I think we've commented enough on this on the show. This is not something new. You need to have a character. You need to have a backup character. You probably need to have a backup to your backup character. You need to have someone that you can personify very well, make funny, and essentially wow the audience, which is, and usually in this point is like RuPaul and sometimes the contestants. So you have to, be funny, wow them, do whatever. I don't know why this always comes up, and this always seems to be a problem. I don't get where people seem to think that they can just do something and it works.
Right.
Having said that, it's choices that you need to make to do that will make you or break you. As we know throughout in the episode, the start of the episode, both Gia Gunn and Trinity were going to do Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn Jenner was a surprising choice to me personally by either of them.
Agreed.
Like I I've heard rumor in the past, conjecture online, discussion, gossip, whatever you want to say, that WoW Presents, the production company, will absolutely kill queens from doing certain personalities just because they think it's too controversial. I'll mention it now. Whitney Houston is one of them that I thought would never be touched, and yet, you know,
Here she is.
here she is. But I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought that the Caitlyn Jenner thing was an interesting point.
Agreed. I was surprised, and also I was surprised that both of them were planning on doing it. Again, sorry, I don't know why. I get where Gia was coming from, where she's a trans person, you know, potentially, quote unquote, playing a trans person. But honestly, no offense, Gia, that's about as far as the connection goes. Like, I mean, you're not old. You don't look old. You know, it just wouldn't. I don't think it would have worked on you. I really don't think it would have worked on her. Honest to God.
Right. I agree that she looks more like a Kardashian than a Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Agreed. Like when they said Caitlyn Jenner, when Gia first said Caitlyn Jenner, I didn't think of Caitlyn Jenner, who was, you know, Bruce Jenner, blah blah blah. I thought of like one of the Kardashian kids, you know, the Kylie or whatever the other two, the younger girls. That's who I thought of at first. And then when they said, "Oh, Gia, you know, Trinity's playing," I was like, "Oh, wait, what? Who is this now?"
Right.
And it caught me. And don't get me. And it's not because I don't. It's just that the name always catches me off guard because there's so many K's in their tribe. There's K sounding names in their tribe.
Right.
That it becomes harder for me to kind of put them all together. Anyway, that's just me personally. So on top of that, and my big thing was be funny. Like, be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be offensive. Don't be derogatory. Don't be rude. Don't be insulting. Pick your moments. This is a la like Milk during the whatever, the Bachelorette or whatever the Snatchelorette or whatever they played.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember when they were playing those characters and Milk would not let someone else get another a word in edgewise, it was very much along those lines.
Right.
And Gia, again, I hated your play. And sure, you were nervous. You were trying to be funny. You were just falling flat. I get it. You were trying. But maybe you should have learned to shut up. You might have been more funny if you had kept yourself quiet and maybe grabbed one of the girls' nails and just went, and just put them back down. Like, that would have been hilarious to me considering the character. You know, just, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just, you know, find things to be funny and don't be... And I had a problem with her character and what she was doing. Because the way she was working, she was essentially, like, at one point during her segment, especially to Latrice, who was playing Delarice, she was saying, like, I think she's a man, you know, I think she's pretending. And she was doing this, like, I don't know where she was going with it, but it was going down a very wrong road, considering who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my biggest moment where I was just like, what the actual fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because it was very much this, like she's, like, I think, like, why would you want her? Because she's not a woman. And it was like, why are you saying these things the way that you're saying them?
Right.
It was coming, like I said, it was coming off very, very insensitive and very rude and very insulting. And again, considering who she is, who Gia is, I felt like, why? Like, what was this?
Right. No, I can't disagree with anything that you're saying.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Woo.
My personal thought is that there were questionable choices that were made. I I don't think Monet did well as Whitney.
Agreed.
I think she was throwing out all the things we know of Whitney as far as like words, song titles, and lyrics.
Yeah.
But not much else.
Yep.
So I feel bad because I think she was on the right path, but she just wasn't delivering on the funny. And for me, that's why it was a questionable choice. It's kind of like, girl, you should know by now. Like this whole thing is you've got to become the character and be able to say things in a certain way. And she kind of did, maybe, because the cigarette thing, I wasn't sure if it was planned or accidental. So I was like, it's hard to say. You know, as much as I did not like this this choice, Naomi did for the most part deliver Wendy Williams. And a lot of people online kept saying that they didn't catch that she was wearing an exact replica of the dress that Wendy Williams was wearing when she passed out on her own TV show. And that, like, that's the attention to detail that Naomi went to in this personification.
I mean, maybe she was at first, but I remember she was wearing like the Statue of Liberty costume.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was seeing online, and I was kind of like, okay, but you know, like, I'm sorry, but Wendy Williams is a thick girl and Naomi is a skinny toothpick bitch. So that was a questionable choice for me. Yeah.
Bazongas though.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to say this. Trinity as Caitlin was borderline annoying. Not even annoying, offensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was really personifying and blowing, which is part of the game. She was blowing out the choice that she made was, this is Caitlyn Jenner immediately after transitioning. And the challenge of no longer being a man and being a woman. And so I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
It was like you said, it was questionable. It could have gone either way, and it was going potentially in that.
Right, as a person who has acquaintances and friends that are trans, I kept thinking is, I wonder if they're offended by this concept, because the characterization, the cartoonishness of it is poking fun at the masculinity within the feminine, and a lot of trans women do not want to be necessarily recognized for their masculinity, you know what I mean, as a part of their identity. So I was just like, oh, I just don't know. And so it was problematic for me. I get that it was funny, and I get that a lot of people responded to it, but I was concerned about the issue personally.
Yeah.
And God bless Valentina. So Eartha Kitt has been done before. I don't think this Eartha Kitt was better. I think that the voice intonation and some of the things about the characterization were really good. But I was like, I don't know. Like, I think there was more that could have been worked on. All right. Monique is Tiffany Haddish. I didn't get this. I didn't understand it. I thought it was a complete miss, and I don't know if it's because I'm not familiar with Tiffany Haddish very much, but yeah.
It was a miss. I mean, okay, so Tiffany Haddish is I don't want to say up and coming, but she's been like a rising star in like a lot of movies recently. She's become very popular, and the main reason is because of her story, is that she's from like the hood, and she grew up there, and she's had a lot of struggles and stuff with her life, and she still kind of has that behavior, mentality, personality as she comes through. She's very straightforward. She's very blunt. She has a lot of that going for her when she's performing. This was trying very hard to kind of give that behavior and mentality, but it just, honestly, it fell flat to me. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It just was like, you're doing something. I get it. I get where you're going with it. Is it enough for me to say it's Tiffany Haddish and not you? No. Right. Like, that was my biggest concern, my biggest issue with Tiffany Haddish, Monique's portrayal of Tiffany Haddish was, it was very much a lot like her,
Right.
which we've had people, be clocked on, where, well, like Cynthia Lee Fontaine playing someone else is like, give me, whoever I think she was playing. Oh, who was she?
I can't
Sofia
remember.
Vergara. Yeah, Sofia Vergara. And she gave something along those lines, and she was like, and RuPaul was like, oh, no, like, that was you. So, like, again, like I said, like, that's kind of what I got with Monique. A little bit, not a lot, but it just kind of came off that way to me.
Yeah. So, yeah, questionable choices. I'm not happy about this. I'm going to own that I have probably been a fan of Miss Streisand since I was nearly single age in my life, so that could be part of the issue why I'm not really down with this. I think the mannerisms were spot on. I think the choice of 90% of the look was spot on. The prosthetic nose, I think, was complete bullshit and not necessary. I think at least this particular nose, I was like, her nose is not that fucking big. Like, you look like a Muppet. Like, I mean, it's just.
I had no idea who she was when they first showed her on.
Way
on
too
the
much.
I had, yeah, it was like, who are you? Who is this?
Yeah.
What is this? Like, what is with this? And then when they said Barbara Streisand, I was like, oh, okay. So you're going to the extreme.
Right. And that's where I had to kind of check myself because I'm like, it's Snatch Game. They're personifying. They're being silly. You know what I mean? So to me, this falls right in line with the Caitlyn Jenner thing. Like you're doing it, but you've pushed beyond, and so it's a comedic take of it. But at the same time, I'm like, I guess maybe the reality is these people are still alive. If the person had passed, I think it may not be as like potentially offensive because this, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up about that.
I get it. I get it totally. Like, I just was very much caught me off guard. Like I said, I didn't recognize who it was until they finally said it, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Right.
But it just doesn't feel it. Like I said, it borders on those where it's funny, potentially offensive, and it's kind of going that route. We know Manila. We know what she did when her first Snatch Game round. She pretty much kind of did what Gia kind of did. Played a very no, that wasn't her. She was Imelda Marcos,
Right.
I think, and it was very. Wasn't quite there, but there was a challenge where she played the very Asian like stereotype, very like bad, like very just like racist, honestly. And I think she won that challenge, if I remember correctly, because I think even I'll have to go back, but I think even RuPaul kind of was like, the way she announced the winner, like, you did this and you did this and it was awful, but congratulations, you won the contest. Like,
nice.
I have to remember.
That's okay. While you look that up, my comments are really simple. I am glad that you made the decision, Gia, to not be Caitlyn Jenner. I think your decision to be this character was not good at all. Like, I don't know if it was from bad to worse or worse to bad or whatever it could have been. And yeah, so Latrice chose Delarice. I was excited about this until I watched Latrice being Delarice, or at least trying to be Delarice. And then I was really upset and annoyed and frustrated. And I'm starting to feel that Latrice is only in All Stars 4 simply to kind of be filler. I don't see her really delivering. It's so weird to me. I'm like, and I'm trying not to invest too much personally in her, but I'm like, you're just not delivering.
Yeah.
Episode after episode. But yet you're
agree.
not failing. Like, it's really weird that it's almost like she's specifically the middle of the pack. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the thing.
This was very, it's hard for me to judge her on this character. She started out okay, but to be frank, that's not Delarice, as far as I know. that's pretty much any like older black woman. Like that's kind of what I was getting for it. It wasn't like what about this makes her Della Reese.
Right.
That's
there was an aesthetic, like a look, so to speak, and it was kind of based on the hair. But the most thing I know about Della Reese is from Touched by an Angel, I want to say. And I thought, okay, if that's a track you're going to go, I expected crosses as earrings. Do you know what I mean? Like, like a conservative necklace with like a little, cross or crucifixion. You know what I mean? Like, and her wearing all white. And her, always talking about things in reference to God and Jesus and in the hereafter. Like, I thought that was the characterization she was going with. And instead, we have this look, and then we have her trying to handle the shit tornado next to her that is just, like, being gross.
And I agree. Like, that was the problem why I think she got a quote unquote a bit of a pass this week. Is because she was dealing with someone who was trying so hard to make a joke or to land a joke or to be funny or whatever, that it was going into and eating into her time. Gia's character was literally talking while Della was attempting to answer the question that was given to her specifically.
Right.
There were a couple of times where it happened, and it's just like, and I get it. Like, Latrice had enough, and she was like, "Nope, I'm done." Like, she even said it to her, "Shut up." Like, will you shut up, please? Like, and again, though, it was coming to where was it the character or was it Latrice? And it wasn't the character.
Right.
It was becoming very much a Latrice having had enough and having been done with this. Excuse me, and making all these like points, but gosh, excuse me, gassy. But again, like I look at this picture that you just shown of the four of them together,
right?
And if I were looking at this picture, I would have no idea who they were playing.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. The moment you said that just now, I was like, "Yep, I got no idea." Like, they look, which is weird because in a way they're supposed to be celebrities, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, but in traditional Love Connection, they're just random people being matched up. So this looks more authentically to the real game as opposed to the celebrity Snatch version. So that's
it's just very odd, and I don't dislike the idea of the Snatch Game of Love. I thought it could have gone very well. I just think. I don't know if, again, I don't know if they knew before if this was going to be, if it was just going to be Snatch Game or if it was going to be Snatch Game of Love. Like, I want to know if they knew ahead of time what it was going to be.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. Like, because a Snatch Game where you're, playing character, we've seen it before, where you can play a character and be funny and you're getting a question and da-da-da-da-da, and you kind of have to play to the part. It's very similar to these lines, but when you add another element to it, which is a romantic, quote-unquote, element to it, it changes it a little bit. It knocks it off its side a little bit. And I wonder if they knew. Because if they did, then, okay, clear across the board, like, choices.
Right. And if they didn't know, then it's understandable that they were a little off their game. However, I'm wondering if this might be the new format. Like, Snatch Game traditional style will stay in the regular series, and then All Stars will have an altered version of Snatch Game on purpose because it's All Stars. Like,
I can see that.
We need to up this somehow.
I agree.
So I don't know. It's
yeah. And I really quickly just threw in Della Reese's name and kind of looked for kind of something to give me an idea of why certain choices were made for Latrice. And unfortunately, I don't see anything that would have given me a reason for her to specifically to have chosen that outfit. Like, I mean, Della was known for some broader colors, and I'm looking at some pictures, in the later years, but I just feel like they could have done something more. She could have done something more.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
So we had the Snatch Game of Love. Are we ready to move on to the runway?
Yes.
All right.
Cover girl, put the bass in your walk. Cover girl.
All right, so category is Boots the House Down. So creative, so original. Catchphrase. Let's turn it into a theme, and you have to somehow match that, apparently. So, as we go through looking at the different girls in alpha order here, Damon, what were your thoughts on the runway?
Let's just go through. Let's just get started.
Yeah.
I will say very quickly, I was not gagged, America. I was not gagged. There was very little about this particular runway that thrilled me or excited me. No one really gave me something that I was like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's new. Oh, that's different. It was very much some just odd things. That one in particular, I was not a fan of. I just was not a fan of. And honestly, I was not a fan of this either. It was, to me,
I know. Let me say this because we're both on the same page. I was majorly meh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was not thrilled with Gia Gunn. I'll return to that momentarily. Latrice Royale, I was disappointed by.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, great. So you're dripping in rhinestoney, strandy things like fringe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It just was very just odd to me. And this,
Yeah. Speaking of odd,
was just I don't know what she was doing. I mean, okay, I get what she was doing, like, but it was a mashup of too many things.
yeah, we're talking about Manila's bondage bunny outfit thing. The moment she came out and started on the runway, I was like, what the hell is she doing?
Exactly.
And by the time she got 3 hops in, I was like, you stupid bitch. I was so annoyed. I was like, so you decided to do this like bondage thing and you've got the pink like strap harness deal, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit your body well. It's supposed to be securing your legs and yet it's not. Like, I mean, and yet you have to hop the whole runway twice, mind you, because they do this twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once with music, once without. So, yeah, I was just like really annoyed with that.
It just felt it. How do I put it? It felt very forced.
Yeah.
Like pay attention to me. Look at me. I'm doing something fun and different. It's funny, right? It's funny, right? It's totally funny. You get it. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. No. It wasn't funny. Right. It wasn't cute.
Right.
It was very meh. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Speaking of moving on, Monet.
So, of the looks, this was the one I kind of liked the most, but that's because I have friends who are big like gear fetishists, and they kind of like this kind of gear, like the BMX biker kind of thing. I will say, however, it's too basic. The hair is basic. It's just too basic. I need you to do more, Monet.
So,
like,
here's my thing. I don't like this outfit. And there's a main reason why I don't like this outfit, and that reason is those hips. I do not like the pants. I don't like the flare kind of thing. Everyone's been talking apparently about how revolutionary this BMX like fashion look is and that they love it. And I'm like, X-nay. Nope, that's a no. That's a no for me. That's a pass. Do not collect 200. Do not collect 10,000. You get nothing, girl. But here's my thing. Like, I agree that the hair is disappointing. And I was just thinking about it as you talked about it. The hair would have been better if it had been ombre to go with the colors of the outfit. Start at white, change to blue, go to black or something like
something along those lines.
It's cohesive. And if you had just taken the boots and if you had turned them into like harness straps that connected up to the high hip of your panty Do you know what I mean? Instead of that big,
Yeah.
bulky, weird kind of flaring
Yeah.
shit. Like, it bugged the hell out of me. And because the middle section, she has the most amazing hourglass silhouette going on with this like optical thing about these curves and stuff. And I was just like, what? It's an idea, but it's not well executed.
It just didn't. Yeah, it didn't land. It's close. Like here's the bullseye. It's like right about here, like just to the right or left, however you want to put it. It just was not. It wasn't everything. I liked it. Again, which is becoming for me honestly a trend for Monet is I want more.
Right.
I need more.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else to say except like we need more.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So.
Oh.
Yeah. So Monique Hart, big imagination. The delivery is not matching, in my opinion.
Again, I need more.
You know what? Like, I have to applaud this concept and this effort. I don't dislike it. I have a problem with it, and it happens to be these blue with white starred jean panties that she's wearing. Like, I was like, the hood thing in the beginning when she first comes out, and you hear, that it's, Red Riding in the hood, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm getting it. Like, that's kind of funny double entendre because she's wearing red and she's in the hood. Yeah, we're also talking about the hood, like, so I'm getting like kind of what this is doing. And then my eyes start traveling down, and then I stopped at her hips and I was like, what the fuck is that? This isn't Star Spangled Banner variety show. Like, that was 2 episodes, girl. Like, it
just honestly, okay, this is me being me. It is, again, it's just too basic. It's just too simple. I get that you necessarily want the focus of the shoe to be on the boots, and the boots are okay. I'm not going to say they're great. I like the whole like wolf kind of thing. I would have loved it if you had done, and I know this sounds awful, but like a red leotard that connects to the hood and it's all one piece.
Okay.
Or something beyond this like basic like halter top kind of thing. If that's all one piece, that the hood and the top,
right? Okay,
that's fine. I get that. That's cool. I can deal with that. But I need something different down here in the hip body,
right.
Thigh area. We need something else. I mean, if you had done a black or red skirt or a fur, something to kind of just like pull the whole look together. I would have liked it a lot more. Something, if you were going with Red Riding in the Hood, which is what I feel like you were going for,
right?
I would have liked something else. Either the hood part is totally separate, and you have something on that gives it kind of a hood, whatever, vibe, or you put it all together. It's all one piece.
Yeah. No, I think like this picture of her from like the bust up, like this is my feeling. From here up, I like it. I didn't dislike the boots. I think they could have used some improvement. But I think that there was some stuff that could have been done, and I was just like, okay, well, this is unfortunate.
It started out really well. It just was executed
poorly. Naomi Smalls. Boy, we have lots to say, don't we?
I know, right?
Well, she did get read on Fashion Photo Review. These are not boots.
Yeah,
these are gladiator sandals that go all the way up to her thighs. Not the same thing. Not a boot.
Correct. That was my main problem with her. Like, it's a sandal.
Yeah.
It's not a boot.
I just like this look overall. I don't think it's ugly. I just think it's not good. Now,
I just think it's tacky.
Well, I don't think it is tacky. I think of it as Halloween. I just threw a bunch of shit together and made layers, and now I'm out on Halloween. And if people ask me what I am, I have to come up with a name. You know, and so there was like a reference from the judges table about Maleficent. I was like, no, not giving me Maleficent. Giving me horny streetwalker at Halloween or something.
Yeah,
Like I don't understand this.
Like I'm a Taurus. Like that's all I'm getting. Like I'm a Taurus. Like that would be if someone were to ask me like what is this house, even if it wasn't Taurus, this would be my thing. I'm a Taurus. Huh. Because that's all I get. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just there.
Right. And even in this shot, like this nice HD like headshot, your upper piece isn't fitting, girl. Like your boobs are now too high. Your necklace is off center. Like these weird straps that are just kind of hanging from your horn. Like it's a no. It's a no. It's a no. It's a no. It's a no from tip to toe. That's what I'm gonna say about that. And then we get Trinity. So I'm gonna own this. When she first walked out, I was like, what in the hell is she wearing? I was like, this is too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then by the time she finished and I watched the episode a second time, and the more I've looked at these photos, I like it. I'm really into it. And I don't get the Versace 90s. I've never followed fashion, so that part doesn't mean nothing to me. But that's what I keep hearing as people talking about. Like she is the personification of that like look apparently, and everyone's complimenting that she nailed it as far as like that aesthetic. And I'm like, great. So for those that understand fashion or know of that reference, that like perfect.
Okay. There we go.
I think she looks great. Like, while I didn't understand it when I first saw it, I was like, okay. Like, you know, like I can't really find fault with it. It's a lot, but it doesn't turn me off, and it doesn't make me wonder what the hell you're doing.
This one, of all of them, despite being, I don't want to say it was busy, it just was a lot of shit. Like, bangles on top of bangles, and then, you know, big ass necklaces on top of necklaces, and fringy, skirty, dressy thing, and the boots were a lot of buckles and whatever. It's a lot of stuff. Like, to take it all in, I probably wouldn't need to see another episode to watch it again, to just be like, oh, okay, here we go. Right. Or another watch through to kind of get everything. Right. But I got it.
Yeah, because at first I thought she was pulling a Madonna look. But then the more I was like, no, this isn't really Madonna. This is kind of like Madonna high fashion, but maybe that's really what that was from the 90s with Versace. I don't know. But I mean, honestly, of all the looks, this one's the one so far out of 8 girls that I like.
Yep.
And then we get to Valentina. I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
Are we ready? Okay. What the fuck is up with those hips? Like, come on. I'm so like, it makes her look fat. They look so big. They're so fucking big.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I get the idea, the look. I get it. It works. I'm not like hating it. Like I said, I'm very mad. Like you said, very mad about it. It's okay. The fact that it's all one piece, I like, but the problem with it being one piece is what Michelle clocked, is that sometimes things start falling, like her
her crotch.
Yeah, her crotch kept falling, and I can see why. That's a lot of fucking hip there.
It's right. It wasn't the best fitting that Valentina could have, and this is the problem with All Stars, is that not only are you an All Star, but Valentina is known for her attire and for her fashion. So this is where David and I are going to disagree. Valentina walked out, and I gasped. I was blown away by the fact immediately she was wearing one piece. That it was all like, you know, it was up to, you know, 2 zippers up the legs and however, you know, around the back kind of thing. I honestly, when I first saw the episode, I was like, this is my favorite. Because it was the most surprising of all the looks. And I was like, it's not just boots. It's a whole one piece. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that this is what I think she looks like. and I don't know if this is a great description. I think she looks like a caramel blonde version of Jessica Rabbit. So she looks like she was dipped in dulce de leche, and that's what we get. Like it's leather. It's kind of like, it's very fashion. It's very interesting, but I agree with you. The downside is that it wasn't fitting perfectly. The hip area around, and that was where the problem came in. Something happened. I don't know if outfit was made custom or not. If it was made custom, then she's owed some fixing and some money, because they gotta work on it. If she borrowed it or got it from somebody and it already existed, it makes more sense to me why it doesn't quite fit in the crotch and the hips. But I honestly, it was like the very first time I saw the episode, it was my favorite look of all of them. And then Trinity came along, and like, they're kind of my favorites, and everybody else I was like, meh.
Yeah.
You know? So
I can see that. I just was my biggest thing, honestly, was the hips. It just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And the fact that it didn't fit all the way. And I know that's kind of a critique thing, but this is All Stars. And I hate saying that, but that's the kind of way I feel about it. Like, step it up.
That's like, what Trixie Mattel keeps saying, like in the pit stop. I think it is over and over again. She's like, it's All Stars. One bobby pin out of place sends your ass home. Like that's the level that we're at. Like, either you have it all together and it's perfect, or the non-perfect parts will be picked on.
Agreed.
So, yeah, that's there's that. So we ended up with this situation where Manila, Naomi, and Trinity are in the top 3. Gia, Latrice, and Valentina, do I have that right? Yes.
Yep.
Are in the bottom 3. And then Rue decides that Manila and Trinity are the top 2. So they're going to have to lip sync for their legacy. And Gia and Valentina are in the bottom 2.
Yeah. And I will say this much. Like, I liked Naomi's portrayal of Wendy Williams during the Snatch Game of Love. I really thought it was funny. She caught a lot of the character. She made it funny. I think her fault, honestly, no offense, was her runway. It wasn't the greatest. It could have been better. I'm honestly surprised that Manila beat her out, though. And the only reason I could say she beat her out is because the guest, the Bachelor or Snatchelor, whatever word they used, chose Barbara.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the heavy weighted point factors, was that the winner character in Snatch Game of Love, each group, each round, whatever you want to call it, that weighted heavily into Rue's decision into who was top 2.
I'm hoping so.
Now it's time for me to put this up in front of camera, because that's what that sounded like to me. But anyways, so are you ready to talk about the lip sync?
Sure.
All right.
The time has come for you to lip sync for your legacy. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
Yeah, so the lip sync for your legacy, I'm going to say this. I am shocked as shit about the song that we got.
Oh.
Because I was not prepared for us to end up getting the Whitney Houston song. Only because one of the most infamous things about RuPaul's Drag Race is that it take coin to get the rights to songs for the lip syncs. So when I saw it come up on the bottom of the screen, the CG, Karen or whatever, and it said Whitney Houston, I literally hit pause immediately, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" They got Whitney for not the finale, but for just an all-star, just an episode. So it's How Will I Know Whitney Houston. It's Manila and Trinity lip syncing for their legacy. Looks alone, I was very happy. I thought that Trinity looked really good. I thought Manila looked really good. Something didn't happen with Trinity. It was confusing me. We might get to that in a moment. But David, what were your thoughts on the lip sync?
So I put down pulling a Shangela.
All right. Now, are you going to talk about the performance and like who wins?
Yes and no.
All right. Well, just so anybody hasn't seen the episode yet, like I know we've been kind of spoiling, but this is your official warning in case you didn't know what happens.
Spoiler alert! Hit that spoiler alert again one more time, just so that they know for sure. If you haven't been listening, if you haven't watched the episode,
this is the penultimate important part. So just be aware.
Yeah. So I'm calling it pulling Shangela for two things, and it's all in relation to Manila, honestly. In some ways, you're going to talk about it a little bit later, so I'm going to gloss over it a little bit. There's a lot of like jumping in front of people, blah blah blah, that was going on, and I was not a personal fan of, and I'll let you get to that later. But my biggest thing was the whole pulling the Shangela about the whole like lipstick reveal. So rewind to the like deliberation, and we find out that Manila is thinking about taking not sending Valentina home, sending a competitor home, as opposed to Gia, who everyone thinks is the one that's going to go home because she didn't do so well,
right?
Which makes sense. And so first, Trinity and Manila have a conversation because Trinity has pretty much made it very clear that she wants Gia's ass home, gone. Like, she has made it perfectly clear. And Manila's like, oh, I don't know. I kind of want, this is an opportunity. I like the way she's called, like, Valentina's in a corner and they could potentially send her home. And I was like, oh, well, it is an interesting theory. And then we get to the lip sync and, spoiler alert, Manila wins.
She does.
Yeah, she wins. So, and we get this whole spiel about I love this person and they're a star and they're rising and da 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 and all this, all the like stuff, which if you remember from the three-way potentially, in Shangela's All Stars, she kind of went on this spiel and pretty much gave everyone this whole idea that maybe she's sending Trixie home, and everyone was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And she literally called everything out about Trixie except she's a white girl from wherever. And then she like pulls the lipstick and it's not Trixie, it was, I forget who it was, but in this case it wasn't Valentina, it was Miss Gia. Which I will say I am, God, I don't even want to use the word proud of Gia. That just does not sound, that doesn't feel like it comes off the tongue right. I am glad Gia took the leaving in stride. I think she had kind of had it in her head and already kind of knew, like, it's going to take a miracle to keep her there. Right. And I'm glad she kind of realized that she fucked up a lot. Not just in this episode, by the way, but she fucked up a lot. And she realized that maybe it's time for her to go. So good, kudos to her. Good for her. I was kind of mad that we have this whole, like, who am I going to pick? Because the minute Manila started talking, I was like, oh, she's sending Gia home. Like, I knew what was being said, and I was like, oh, so we're going to play that game. We're going to do that shit. We're going to make it seem like it's going to be someone else, but it's actually going to be what we all know all along is going to happen. So...
Yeah. So, my comments on the lip sync for Your Legacy was upstaging. Really? So, I personally feel that Manila did win the lip sync fair and square in that she thinks she performed better than Trinity. As someone said, I think it might have been on the Fashion Photo Review, Manila tells a story when she performs. There's a start, a middle, and an end. There's conceptually a thought out, like, how am I going to use the stage from the back to the front? and move around? When am I going to take off things if I'm going to do any of that, if I'm going to do a reveal, that kind of stuff. Trinity, on the other hand, I think was doing a little bit more of a traditional lip sync. There wasn't really anything going on, and I'm going to get back to the part that I mentioned. I thought Trinity was going to take her fucking jacket off. I didn't realize that it's not a jacket and that it's just a top, that yellow, and that there's nothing else to it, and there's no hiding, there's no reveal. Because, you know, How Will I Know by Whitney Houston, I think, has a key change. Like, it kind of, it goes up a level, so I'm waiting. Nothing happens anywhere by either of them, really. I was very confused. So while this photo that I got from online is cute, it's about the best representation I could find of what this upstaging issue. I think it happened 3 times in the number that Manila was in front of Trinity. Manila was basically hogging the stage and not giving fucks about her placement in comparison to her competitor. Which was Trinity's downfall, because then Trinity always had to react to Manila. So Trinity was doing things like this, like being cutesy and like putting her arms around her and holding her, and at one point hugged her leg. And so it was funny, but she was not overcoming it. So she wasn't hamming it up to win it. She was reacting to it. And I was really annoyed with Manila because of this. Like, it really, it made me mad. I was like really, girl? Like,
this ain't season 2 or 3 with what's her name? Mimi on first, kind of jumping in front and all that shit. No, this isn't that shit.
Right.
We've learned in years past that we do not upstage. And I mean, it could happen sometimes.
Right.
Like, sometimes it happens naturally, but like, oh, I'm doing a flip and I land over here and here I am right in front of you. I'm sorry, you know, but we don't intentionally, you know, hog the stage. That's one of the reasons why the stage is as big as it is. And there's 2 of you, and you have 2 sides of the stage that you could potentially start or end the, you know, things on. To like clamor and hog for attention essentially is cheapening the moment. You're an all-star, Manila. like you didn't need to. You were doing really good on your own.
right.
If you had just kept it to what you were doing, I would have been all for it.
Right.
You did not need to go that extra route and essentially steal stage time from Trinity.
Right. So, yeah. So there's that. So Manila wins, and as you went on to explain, and there's really nothing more for me to say, there's this dramatic speech. It's intentionally, I think, verbalized to mislead, to make you think that Valentina, the competitor, is going home. But so let's talk a little bit about that, how we got to this decision, shall we? So, yeah. This is like one of my favorite parts of this episode. So Manila is backstage and she talks, well, when they're in the workroom. So she specifically talks to the 2, you know, bottom and the bottom 2. And so, like, I want to, this is not a good photo, but this is a moment that bothered me a lot. So Manila talks to Gia. Gia's upset. Gia's crying. Manila's crying with her. And I'm really irritated beyond belief, because I'm like, I don't like using these words, but I'm like, are these crocodile tears? Like, is there really any remorse going on in this moment? I don't understand why now you're suddenly having this epiphany about you and how you treated people, and that you feel bad that you made fun of somebody else as a competitor when you sat right side by side with them during the competition. Like, I was so
talking
confused.
about Gia.
Yeah, I was so confused by this whole thing coming from Gia, and that Manila responds to it and cries, and I'm like,
yeah.
Again, I'm like, really? Because I kind of think Manila's a bit of a cold-hearted bitch at times, so I was shocked that she also has some tears. I'm like, okay, I'm confused by this.
So I get Gia's story. As I mentioned earlier, I get it. You know, she's coming on, she's representing herself, her true authentic self. she's a trans person and a trans woman, and she is the first person, trans person apparently on the show to be on the show from start to finish, as a trans woman.
Right.
So I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I don't feel that way, but
right.
Anyway. So here she is representing this community, and I understand that she like some of the things she mentioned was like, this is, my defense mechanism was to kind of go back to that snarky bitch that I was when I was doing this as drag, as my escape from, my reality. And I got that, but I just did not care for it happening. I know it happening now.
Right.
Yeah. It was kind of mentioned off and on here and there in the first couple of episodes that this was her thing, that she was trying to, represent herself and represent the trans community and everything. But I feel like, honestly, a little bit of it was forced.
Right. And this is the only thing I have a beef with Gia about, is the statement about that she wants to represent the trans community. Girl, I'm not a member of the trans community, but as a member of the greater LGBTQIA community, you did no favors to the T in the alphabet. I actually am offended by the fact that you represented the trans community. So take that and sit on it and think for a moment, because I think that's the bigger lesson is, she in her response video that she posted to YouTube, this is the essence kind of what she says. Gia Gunn is a character, is a drag character, and that's what got her to the point that realizing that she, was not satisfied with who she was and she wanted to be Gia Ichigama, which is a woman. Herein lies my issue. Then if you wanted to be a woman, then being a drag queen on the competitive reality show makes no sense if you're potentially leaving drag behind. And that's sort of what I think the message was, but it's also very confusing because then she does a plug how she's going to do a one-woman tour next year. And I've seen videos of her performing with her implants, like her tatas exposed. I mean, like, it's very confusing to me. And I can't figure out the timeline of what, when, where happens necessarily when it comes to that. But anyways, so this moment that happens between Manila and Gia to me is feeling slightly disingenuous, but it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to get behind. I get it that emotions are probably playing a part in this, but I also don't feel it was, I hate to say it, I don't feel it was authentic.
Right.
Because you've had this opportunity, you've had several opportunities to talk about and show what you were going for, and instead of using these opportunities as a platform to do those things, you instead were cutting and belittling and bitching and complaining about your other competitors.
Right. So Manila and Gia have this moment. And it's sort of maybe you think that Manila's going to keep Gia because, she wants to reconcile and, correct her ways or whatever and all that kind of jazz. And then we have this moment. And this is like my favorite thing. And this is now probably becoming a meme if it isn't a meme, is Valentina in the shade is what I'm calling this. So Valentina and Manila have a kiki. They have a little chat. And what cracks me up to no end is Manila says to Valentina about how she flat out tells her that you are a fierce competitor and strategy-wise it would be perfect and make sense for me to eliminate you and to keep Gia. Like, those aren't her words, but that was basically what she says. Shocking, because I was like, why do you admit your gameplay? But anyways. Then she says to Valentina about, why she should keep her there. And they have this conversation, and the best part of the whole thing is Valentina. This is Valentina when Manila is explaining her gameplay. So Valentina is drinking the drink and now it's gotten to the bottom. So you hear like the slurping straw sound, which I was like, oh, that's shady as fuck. Like, girl. Like, she is always aware where the camera is. She is always aware that she is the star. Like, this is never a doubt about Valentina. So while she may have infuriated me at times in the past, at this moment, I was like, all right, girl, I gotta give it to you. I will give you red M&Ms. I will give you red flowers. Like this is a moment that you deserve some of that bullshit just for whatever.
This was very much because what we find out, obviously, so Trinity and Manila had a conversation. Trinity talked with Valentina first, and Trinity told Valentina, so many names.
Right.
You told Valentina that Manila was planning on letting her go.
Right.
So she knew. And she knew. I mean, I don't know if she knew, but, like Manila then comes up to her and pretty much confirms it.
Right.
Like, point blank period, this was what was going to happen or could potentially happen. And Valentina is like, and now you want to ask me? Like, my favorite part was Manila asked Valentina to essentially save her if she were ever in the top and Manila was in the bottom. She asked her that question.
She's asking for an alliance. And it's really funny because this is the first episode in the season. So we're only going to have like maybe 8 or 9 episodes in the whole season. And we're at episode 3. This is the first time alliances have actually been discussed in, this final statements, plead for or begging for to stay or whatever you want to call this phase. So what I loved is how Valentina turned it around on Manila and said, how about you save me and we go to the end and compete against each other, bitch? How about you take that challenge on?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's like the best gameplay ever. She completely stole Manila's thunder and was like, bitch, I don't care about the fact that like you want to eliminate me as a competitor. How about you keep me because I am your competitor and then prove you can beat me?
Uh-huh. Shady. I loved it. I loved that moment. And it was just like I'm like you. Like, Valentina I've not been the biggest fan of hers. But in this moment, at this time, I was just like, go ahead, Miss Thing, and do your thing. Like she was very much on. She was giving no fucks.
Right.
Like, I already know the game. I already know your game. You pretty much confirmed it for me. And so why should I ever keep you?
Right.
Because I know what you're going to do. Like,
right.
It makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah. So we end up getting to, the end of the show, right? And, Manila wins and she pulls the gag, which isn't really a gag because we kind of saw it coming. And she decides that she's going to eliminate and send home Miss Giagan.
Yep.
So, yeah, we end up having another queen leave. So we're down 3. We've got 5 to go.
Before we have a winner.
Yeah.
Or our top 2.
Before we get into our closing section, because we haven't discussed this yet, do you have like a top 3, top 4 Damon yet?
Do I? Now that you've asked the question, yes.
Okay, I do as well, and I will say who my people are that I'm keeping an eye on, and I think are going to go pretty far. And you can decide to or not to. I think Trinity and Manila and Valentina are kind of the ones to beat. I think they're leading the pack, and it's unfortunate, but I think Latrice, Monet, and Monique are really not pulling themselves like to the front or getting to the front. Naomi is sort of the outlier, but I still don't see her, moving ahead.
So, based on what we've seen so far, and the potential I foresee, I am in agreement with you.
Okay.
I think Manila, Valentina, and Trinity are the top 3 to beat at this stage of the game.
Right.
The only one I could see potentially throwing things off. Believe it or not, our Naomi are Latrice. And the only reason is because I have seen them do it before. We've seen them do it before. You know, Naomi's made it to top 3 of her season. Latrice made the top 4 of her season. Latrice is not someone to be, to me, not one to be like, don't judge me right now. I'm waiting to see what she can do.
Right.
And I really feel like this episode threw her off her game, and I think she needs to, if she doesn't refocus and get there, I could see her going home potentially. Again, I love Monet and I love Monique. I love them both. I think they're really great people. I think they're really great queens. I just feel like either they weren't ready or they're just not getting there. They're not giving me everything that I need at this point. I need something more than what you guys are giving me. And unfortunately, it's been showing that they're not at the top of their game.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right in that Latrice is not one to rule out, that there's a potential that she could, knock a bitch or two out. So maybe, it really comes down to Monet, Monique, and Naomi as the ones that are the next 3, pool of individuals that might not make it. And then again, maybe our 3 that think will make it to the end, someone fucks up and doesn't know their words to a song again.
Agreed.
Or something weird.
As you mentioned, that Trixie said, it's always a matter of one little thing potentially that could fuck you up completely in this game.
Yeah.
In All Stars, I think the regular show you can sometimes get away with a couple of things once or twice, but in All Stars you can't.
Right. So yeah, that's pretty much where we've landed overall on the episode. For wrap up, you ready to move into snaps and eye rolls? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines, and may the best all-star win.
All right, Damon, who are your snaps from this particular episode?
So I have 2 snaps, and it has actually nothing to do at all with any of the contestants.
Good. I'm sorry. It was not that great of an episode, in my opinion, but anyways.
So my first snaps are actually to Mr. Gus Kenworthy, who was one of the bachelors or snatchelors, whichever word you want to use, on the show.
One of the judges, the guest judges?
Oh, that too. He was that too. Whatever. Anyway, but he's obviously very pretty, very gorgeous, as was the other one. They were both very gorgeous men. But this one, Gus had this, 2 of his shirts he had just buttoned down just enough, and you got this pop of chesty hair, and then he had the beard and everything else, and he had this really gorgeous smile. And my favorite moment of this episode was his side joke during the introduction. So Rue introduced calls Ross in, and blah blah blah, and then she introduces Gus, and Gus then says, "Oh, I spent Did he say I spent the night?"
No, I think he literally says, "I slept with Ross Matthews last night."
Yeah, I slept with Ross Matthews last night, and then Ross chimes in with, "I won the gold," and then immediately after, Gus says, "I came second," and I was like, "Fuck that!" That was hilarious. I don't know how long it got everyone out, but I was laughing for a good solid 20-30 seconds because it's just a hilarious moment because the joke drops. Gus and Ross kind of look at each other. Rue starts laughing. Michelle starts laughing. I'm sure everyone else was laughing. And it just I'm wondering if I'm hoping they edited it, cut just because it was so funny. But it just, oh my God, loved it. And speaking of Rue, my second snaps are actually for her runway look today, her judge look as she came down the runway. It wasn't a gown.
Okay, so are you giving her snaps because it wasn't a gown?
Yes, we got to
Okay.
see her legs for the first time in a long time. We got
Right.
to see the legs that she's, we've always seen them, but like this time was like, oh, very nice. It caught me by surprise because I had seen the episode Friday and I didn't get to watch all of it because we had our patron show.
Right.
So I saw her come down the runway the first time, but I didn't pay attention because just recall I wasn't really looking. So when I watched the episode the second time all the way through, I was like, oh, that's very nice. I like the look. I like the kind of bathing suit kind of look for it and everything. But it just the fact that it wasn't a gown, and we got to see all of her legs was very nice to me. So yeah.
I hear what you're saying about like the reason why I was asking and being nitpicky about whether or not it was because it wasn't a gown is I agree. Like the moment she appeared, I paused what I was watching and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We're actually seeing her fucking legs, like the whole leg, not just from the knee or from the shin, like all the way." So I wasn't a fan of the outfit. Like
Yeah.
I imagine Zaldi made it because Zaldi makes all her outfits, but I was like, eh. I was like, it's okay. It's kind of cute. It's very confusing. I'm so used to seasons now of nothing but gowns and gowns. You know what I mean? Like these big voluminous, because she's got this one silhouette thing that she kind of works. So I was surprised pleasantly by the fact that it wasn't a gown, but then I was like, yeah, but like we didn't have a gown at the price of this outfit. And I don't know if this outfit measures up to the level that I would like it to in order to get the legs. I'm confused. I don't know. Maybe like because she knew Naomi was going to be on this season, she said, I'm going to show this bitch what it's like to have legs too. I'm not sure what prompted that, but yeah.
Let me show you my gams, honey, and let me show you them.
Yeah. Your eye rolls.
Oh God. I think I've mentioned this. I'm we're fans of the show. We wouldn't be doing this show if we weren't fans of the show. I'm a big fan of the show. I love the show. I'm also a big fan of what's going on. You know what's happening. You know what's about to show up. In your season, since 3 or 4, there's going to be a Snatch Game. So
right.
Why are we? And All Stars also knows that there's probably going to be a Snatch Game, and you're going to need to step it up. You can't just do the same thing you just did in your season. You had to do something different. You had to do something weird. So I was. My eye rolls are because of the unpreparedness of some of the girls. Gia, Monet, Monique, a few others to me. Honestly, no offense, Latrice. To me, I just was very much upset and eye rolling about I'm surprised that you weren't prepared. Latrice gets a bit of a pass only because I feel that she was knocked away because of what was happening between her and Gia. Mm-hmm. The rest of them don't. Monet, you could have done a better job with your Whitney or done somebody else. I'm just right. Like honestly, Monique's Tiffany Haddish was flat. Gia's was borderline. I mean, not even borderline. It was very racist, very controversial to me.
Right.
I was not a fan of it at all. I think she could have done something so much different, something different. I don't know who, but it would surprise me that she was planning on doing Caitlyn Jenner, and I don't even think she would have gotten that done right. Right. I wanted. You can't just do a character because she's trans and I'm trans too. We need something more.
Right.
So I'm eye rolling the unpreparedness for people on this show in general for Snatch Game.
Okay, I can hear that. I have no snaps for this episode. I literally don't. There was nothing that really moved me that much. There were some high points, nothing really in Snatch Game stood out to me. It was only in the runway that I think Trinity and Valentina, caught my eye and really made me pay attention. And while yes, Gus Kenworthy is very nice to look at. And like that also kind of cracked me up because I listened to Michelle and Rue's podcast, and Gus Kenworthy has a boyfriend. Like, so I was like, okay, so obviously this is reality television in that it's all just fake, because he's a contestant on the Snatch Game with these supposed celebrities, and yet he's not really single in real life. And it's like, it was just one of these things. I will say this, this isn't really snaps, but if Gus Kenworthy became a regular season guest judge, I am all about it, because he is apparently a super fan. He loves it. When he did his entrance, he did an homage to Sasha Velour with like these Hawaiian lei petals falling from underneath his hat over him. And I was like, oh girl, you gay. Like, not only are you an Olympian that came out, but like you obviously you enjoy watching the show. And it's, when you listen to the podcast, it's really nice because he actually says that like he was in the closet and he didn't start watching it until a couple seasons ago because he thought only gay people ended up watching it. And then he found out like how much like it has molded into the pop culture sphere, so to speak, and so many people watch it, and it doesn't like, it has nothing to do with your sexuality and blah blah blah. So yeah, it was good. So I had no snaps. My eye rolls, however, are for manufactured drama. And I'm gonna call this out. I've been waiting all episode to finally say this. I think the Caitlyn Jenner Gia Trinity thing was complete bullshit, completely manufactured, wasn't even a storyline, and I think it was invented. Go back and watch the episode again. You tell me that Manila Luzon is not acting, that Valentina is not acting, that Gia is potentially not acting. Trinity, I think, is a good actor. I think Latrice is a good actor. That whole thing is so crap to me about... Gia was going to do Caitlyn, and then Trinity's like, well, I already have my wig and my dress out. And I'm like, after I watched it the second time and then I watched it the third time, I was like, why doesn't Gia have her outfit out? Why doesn't Gia have her hair out? Where's Gia's preparation? Besides one catchphrase line. I don't know how you women walk in these shoes. I was like, yeah. The more I watched it, the more mad I got, the more irritated I got, and I felt the whole thing was manufactured. So I'm waiting for Willem to reveal on his podcast, Race Chaser, with Alaska Thunder Fund, that they're going to actually say that on good authority from someone who knows in the know that actually was just all bullshit and they just did it for the episode. Because that's how I feel about it. I think it was manufactured. I think it was crap, and I just didn't like it at all. I thought it was just a stupid subplot line. But that's me.
It felt off. Like I said, again, other than the fact that Gia is trans, there's no, like, I don't see a reason for her to have ever thought to do it.
Right.
There's no physical comparison. There's no,
yeah.
Just, I don't think Gia would go that route.
Right.
Other than her whole, like, again, potentially manufactured whole, like, I should portray a trans person because I'm also trans. Like,
right. And that when you're saying and focusing on that one thing, Damon, what keeps coming back to me again and again is, so does that mean that everybody should stay in their lane? So like, if you're a person of color, you should only do celebrities that are your ethnicity?
Oh. No.
Right. That's the thing, is that logic of, because I'm trans, I should be the one that does the trans celebrity. It's like, but then that means that, like, because you are a person of color, you should only do characters that are of color. I don't agree with that. I think it's a huge leap of faith to, like, cross boundaries and do things. But it's like, all right, if you're
taking risks for sure.
Right. If you want to take a risk, sometimes the risks pay off, sometimes they don't. So I understand where you're coming from, where it's like, you don't get that just because of this doesn't give you this. I mean,
yeah.
And that's part of the issue that I had with some of the stuff, especially with, I hate to say it, I think Latrice, it was kind of like, this is who she looks like, but she doesn't act or talk like her. So I don't know. And maybe that was known going into it, because I think sometimes they choose characters for Snatch Game and their plan is to skate by and not win, but also not lose. Because there's three levels when it comes to Snatch Game. People who play the game and play the game really fucking well, and they typically come out on top and or win. People who do okay, and then people who fuck it up.
Yep.
And then people who fuck it up end up in the bottom, and then they get eliminated. So sometimes I think in a season, whether it's regular or all-stars, there's a calculation of just don't be in the bottom. Just don't suck. Yep. Just don't be in the bottom.
True. And kudos to Monet and Monique for kind of skirting that middle. Good for you.
Yeah.
We'll say that. I just okay. We didn't really talk about Valentina's Eartha Kick, but I really want to, before we close, I want to say this very much. I love that she, like, even Gus kind of mentioned that, or a couple of the guys, judges mentioned that she got a lot of the, like, mannerisms and obviously knew who Eartha Kitt was. But what she didn't do, which is what is needed to be done, was to make Eartha Kitt funny. Like, she threw that line out about, like, pull the lever, and I got it because I know what it's from. Correct.
And so did I.
Yeah. Like, I got it, but nobody else did.
Well, and that's right. And that's the thing. Like, while it's funny, like, it was misplaced. That's part of the problem.
Also true.
And she didn't explain it well either afterwards. Like, when she was asked about it, when, it's crickets and it's not really making sense. And I think even Rue makes a comment or something. Valentina as Eartha Kitt did not explain. I was in a Disney animated movie and my character says this line. You know what I mean? Like, which probably right. That probably would have made it even worse. Actually, trying to explain the joke
potentially, but once you have to explain the joke, it's no longer funny. Yeah.
So no, I agree with you that was a good idea that the judges were like, yeah, you were really personifying this person, you just weren't really funny because you weren't responding, like you weren't playing. Like, that's the thing about Snatch Game. Not only do you have to be a character, but you have to play. There's a banter, there's a going back and forth. This time the focus was on the banter with the judges, not with each other. In a normal or in a typical Snatch Game from the past, you have to interact with each other and banter with each other and sort of with Rue. But this time it was way more focused on you and the celebrity judge who was the contestant in the Snatch Game of Love, and not so much about you and the other ones. I mean, like, yeah, you and the other people, it makes sense.
Could have moments, obviously, but correct.
And it wasn't really working out. So
no.
That being said, so that's episode 3, Snatch Game of Love. We're just days away already from episode 4, which is apparently going to be very interesting. It's the main competition is Michelle Visage plays a judge. I think it's called Jersey Judge. So she apparently channels her New Jersey background, and it's like a Judge Judy spoof or something. I'm not sure how I feel about this because we've had a judge scene thing before in a different season, and I'm just like, okay. But in the meantime, if you would like to get in touch with us, there's many ways to do that. You can go to our blog and leave us a comment there you want, or find other episodes of what we do here for Cubs Out Loud. And you just simply type into your web browser, cubsoutloud.com, all one word. If you would like to send us an email, we would gladly receive it and read it and talk about it. It's cubsoutloud@gmail.com. If you would like to leave us a voicemail, we can actually play that in the show. It's 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. Social media, pretty much most of the main ones, you can find us as Cubs Out Loud, all one word, on there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. For those of you that listen to this as an audio cast, we've been doing the YouTube thing for a while, and obviously with COL Drag Race now, we're doing more visual stuff. So if you're interested in seeing the photographs of some of the things we were talking about, you can catch that there. If you want to join the chat, you can go to tinyurl.com/telegram-COLDR. You can actually join the conversation there. Apparently, some of our Entourage chat members were naughty Cubsters, and they were watching the previously accidentally released episode long before it was supposed to air.
Well, that's okay though, because it's Wow's Presents' fault.
Well, yes, that's what we've been told officially. If you want to support Cubs Out Loud, you could do so in two ways. You can actually get merchandise, which has our Cubs Out Loud Drag Race logo with a little tiara on it, like the shirt that I'm wearing, or you can get just like a regular hat if you want. If you want, you can also become a patron at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud, where we do different things for individuals. We've already done one reward this year with a sticker. We're about to do shirts. And we have special shows currently every other month that we're doing. We just did one on Friday, so you could do that for as little as $1 a month. You can become a patron, or you could give more than that, up to any amount that you want, I believe.
Yeah.
So that helps us out with the money, honey. Also, if you would like to... If you would like to promote us online for Cubs Out Loud, you could rate us on iTunes. You can leave a review. I'm not going to be stubborn and ignorant and say it needs to be 5 stars, but we would welcome that. You could also subscribe to us on Google Play Podcasts or pretty much anywhere that you get a podcast for the audio feed. If they want to get in touch with you or find you or follow you online, Damon, where would they go?
You can find me as Theater Cup 79 on most bear-related platforms, or you can find me as pup_umbra on Twitter.
If you would like to get in touch with me, I pretty much can be found most places as GareBear73. And with that, we're exiting to the season's outro music from the season of All Stars, Season 4, Born Naked.
I'm telling the truth now. I'm telling the truth now. All born naked and the rest is drag. Who do you think you? Telling the truth now. Who do you think you? We're all born naked and the rest is drag.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, another show wrapped up.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, who messes me on Growler? Hold on.
I'm going to stop streaming with that.